What's up, everybody? I'm popping in to do a couple of trailer reactions that just dropped this morning. And the first one I'm going to do is Marvel's Ironheart, based off the character named Riri Williams, who is a Chicago based superhero that came out during the time of the all new, all different Marvel. Terrible era for Marvel, in my opinion, with probably like the off the top of my head, the only exception being Miss Marvel Kamala Khan, but even then, it's still maybe like her early inception into the universe. I think was slightly handled better, but then progressively just kind of like dropping a ball. But yeah, Riri Williams seemed forced in a way. A lot of them seemed pretty forced because they was trying to like get these new wave of heroes of all different cultural backgrounds, and it seems like I said, so inorganic. Because I stated before, but I got no proof on it. But you just can't help but feel that Kevin Feige or somebody in Marvel Studios reached out way back when and say like, "Hey, we're planning this a 10-year plan on some diverse group of people. All right, why don't you like try to set something up? I don't care how you do it or how it's set up. Just push it out there so we can have a built-in excuse to push forward like a particular thing." Like I said, I have no proof on this, but you just can't help but feel that Marvel in recent years has just been like a pamphlet of trying to set up more products. It's not movies or TV shows anymore. They're just products that you're trying to shovel out with no rhyme or reason, and with, for at least some parts, no uh solid stories from point A to point B. But that's just me personally. But I don't know. Let's check it out, okay? I mean, I know what you're gonna say. It's like we haven't seen it yet. It's only 6 episodes from what I'm understanding, and I get it. Hopefully, like Thunderbolts, I'll be pleasantly surprised, because Thunderbolts was actually a pretty a solid film that I did, for the most part, enjoy. So maybe Ironheart will be a sleeper hit. You don't know, but let's check it out. And it's in Chicago. So. Okay, first and foremost, they do little screenshots of like the city of Chicago, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't. Maybe there was. I'm not sure. There was no word, from my understanding, anybody, because this was sitting on a shelf, or at least being looked over or put together script wise around 2022, which Marvel had a whole different mindset. The world was, still relatively different around that time. So this was literally sitting on the shelf until around this time, and some people are believing they just really want to push this out. I'm not sure if they're going to release all 6 episodes all at once, or watch each episode weekly. I don't know yet, but I don't think they actually shot and filmed physically in Chicago. Usually they keep that kind of stuff hush hush, but from people that I knew, word got around they were filming the Dark Knight in Chicago, and it was people like standing kind of really far back so they won't interrupt the filming process or whatever. But it got around. I did not hear a peep about, oh, they filming Ironheart at this particular location in Chicago, where people can like crowd around and watch, all this stuff going on. because big studios like Warner Brothers and Disney, you can't like keep that too hush hush. It's not like an indie project or anything like that, you know. And second of all, Ryan Coogler, I know he's pretty hot right now, and great filmmaker, great director. Uh, I'm not sure how well he's able to maybe cobble together a decent show. But maybe. But like, what was the director's name? Neil DaCosta. Whoever's the director of the Marvels, from what we learned a year or so after that film came out, that the director was pretty much just like the face. A lot of these directors who are not like big names or can actually throw their weight around like Scorsese or something like that, they just pretty much getting pushed and pulled by, you know, the studio heads. And it's like, here, this is what we're trying to produce. You just film it. They pretty much calling the shots, and these relatively new directors that don't have a name to them yet can't really say nothing. They're just glad to be part of this kind of stuff. I'm not sure if Ryan Coogler can be put in that frame. Even back in 2022, he made a name for himself with Fruitvale Station and the first Black Panther movie. So he, you know, had some carte blanche to have some say so. So he probably won't be able to be pushed around in terms of how you want to make Ironheart. But I don't know. I was thinking about making like a video talking about, you know, certain directors in Disney, and well, at least primarily in Disney, where it's like how many, because they were really pushing that director from the Marvels, you know, pretty hard. No Diddy. And it's like, how much does she had any say so in how the Marvels turned out? Clearly, like, the studios was way more involved, and there was no creativity, no solid story, no clear vision coming from that director. Because you looking at a Ryan Coogler film, you can just tell it's his craft that's being poured through the script writing. You look at something like, and I ain't gonna go with like Scorsese or anything like that, but like Christopher Nolan, or, you know, or Ben Affleck. It's like when they're writing material, you can wholeheartedly say, you know, that is a them film. You know, very little studio interference. You can just tell. So hopefully with Ryan Coogler, he can mine something from this. And I'm pretty sure he had some love for the character. But in the comics, her comics has been like, had like a very short runs that end up being dropped quite a few times because they don't know what to do with that freaking character, which she should have been properly set up. In concept, Ironheart is not a bad idea, but she should have been properly set up as a Iron Man sidekick. And now in this, you get it with Iron Man being dead way before he's Doctor Doom. It's like she should be in the realm, because they pushed her in a Black Panther film where she should have been propped up in an Iron Man project, or at least somewhere with, you know, associated with Rhodey. They didn't do that, and I think that is a failing on Marvel's part, Marvel Studios' part, Disney's part. Let's continue.
Hello?
They're trying to use Ryan Coogler, let's be honest, trying to like squeeze in some goodwill. They big bold letters, Ryan Coogler. So you gotta see it. You gotta see it because we got Ryan Coogler, and it's like y'all really like trying to do your best to salvage this. The it just screams like, once again, desperation. Just like they trying to shove Robert Downey Jr. where they could have just got any other equally awesome actor to play Doctor Doom. They're desperately trying to get some goodwill or scramble to get more butts in seats or eyes on their projects. Look, we got somebody that you really love. Please come watch our stuff, because big bold letters screams that. You can just, if you were confident in this project, yeah, sure, you can showcase the director, but you don't need to like shove it, pretty much covering half the screen. You can just like, from the director, just medium-sized font from the director of Black Panther and Wakanda Forever, Ryan Coogler. Just very medium-sized, soft, title of the name, and just like, you're confident in this product. Here, Ironheart. That should be like center stage right off the bat. Like, no, we are confident in this kind of thing. Like I said, but I don't know yet. But Marvel Studios, for the most part, have not been doing very well when in terms of TV stuff, because they felt like homework to a lot of people. I still watch them for the most part, with various different levels of enjoyment. In my case, with Secret Invasion being like the worst of the worst. That is just hot trash. I don't think Ironheart is going to be reaching that levels of stuff. It'll be very so at best, in my opinion.
For real.
And this actress is from New York. You could have gotten an actual actress from Chicago who will have a natural Chicagoan dialect. That's my personal nitpick. Personally, I've always been said that. Ever since they announced she was gonna be in Black Panther 2, that was my biggest like pet peeve. Because like, why did you get an actress that's from New York that has to fake a Chicago accent rather than actually hiring somebody from Chicago?
In less than 3 minutes, the air in this elevator will no longer be breathable.
Oh, what is?
Oh, and I'm sorry, I keep pausing, but also when I distinctly remember from Black Panther 2, where you see her in college in her little dorm room, and she has all this like Chicago memorabilia, like the Chicago flag, and it seems so forced. Like, I lived in Chicago all my life. Hardly anybody that I know actually have like a Chicago flag in their room. Cause like, it's like you're trying to like prove something. Like, yeah, she's from Chicago. Get it? Instead of just like telling us through the writing. Like, you have a certain sayings or phrases that is distinctly from Chicago.
Your interview. You'll suffocate and die unless you break into the device on the floor, where you'll find a gas mask. Good luck.
And I think they came up with the name Riri Williams, well, at least the Riri part, because because Rihanna was at the height of her popularity in the music industry around the time, at least within the year when they was coming up with Riri Williams. I'm pretty like, hardly anybody has the name Riri besides Rihanna, and now this character. And it seems like, yeah, you're trying to really do pro-black strong woman thing. And, Rihanna was like at the height of that, profile. So a lot is going to seem, forced in my opinion. Like I said, I hope I'm proven wrong. I am going to see this, but it's just like, God, like, I am not confident in this. I don't think anybody's confident in this.
So you went around.
Stereotypical hot boy love interest, similar to like Miss Marvel. Little two for some reason he had like 2 or 3 potential love interests. Like I said, that show wasn't terrible, but it's just like, why you got like 3 separate male love interests, that like the local hot boy hottie and stuff like that. Just stick to one, okay? Like I said, you're trying to like set something up, and I don't think that next time, if there was ever going to be a Miss Marvel season 2, they really ain't going to try to address any of those guys, except for maybe like that white boy that's friends of the family. Even then, they kind of treat him like a sideline character.
Riri, I see you. I see you're fed up, waiting to be acknowledged for your greatness.
You are not the first genius at MIT.
How come you're not working at one of those fancy tech firms?
More still shots of Chicago areas, and it's not actually filmed in Chicago, I bet you.
After my internship abroad, I want to build something undeniable. Something
Important?
iconic.
It's a brand new.
I can give you the
I'm
tools to
starting
help.
getting sick of that word iconic, and it's kind of like just B.
You carry out your vision.
Nobody wants to just be a superhero.
But anyone who's ever accomplished anything iconic in life,
be like, like reluctant hero kind of crowd. Just be like a superhero, and just the fact that you want to make a difference. I mean, Kamala Khan's probably like the closest one we got in recent years in terms of new characters that actually actively wants to do something.
because I had to do some questionable things to get it done. What will you do, Riri?
You've bitten off a hell of a lot more than you can chew.
I could chew a lot.
Is that White Castle burger? Yeah, it is White Castle. Product placement. I was like, is that a White Castle burger? Because I was thinking about having White Castle the other day, and I kind of decided against it. But now it's, have been thinking about White Castles a lot recently. Oh, maybe it's because I watched a clip from Harold and Kumar last week. Now this guy White Castle on the brain. Okay, let's. The iron suit, not really iron, but for the sake of the argument, the iron suit doesn't look terrible. It was definitely far better than what we saw from the Black Panther 2 movie.
You know nothing about.
The hood is a bad guy in the comics, and depending on the writer, for most of the time that I've seen the hood pop up and stuff, he usually is relegated to working underneath like the main bad guy in certain stories. I'm not saying he's not treated like a joke, but it's not like a serious threat, and he's really magic based because of his cloak, and he got use that magic infused in his guns to actually do significant damage. Since you wasted a lot of Iron Man's rogues gallery on other superheroes that isn't a part of the Iron Man bubble, you could have at least given Riri Iron Man villains to deal with. And the hood, for the most part, he doesn't have like a straight up arch enemy. Like typically he, fights this ex superhero. Cause, roughly he deals with supernatural, either supernatural adversaries, or he is like a local crime boss that street level heroes have to deal with. But the Hood should be relegated to somebody who's magic based. Like, I don't know, he could have been like a decent Agatha type of adversary, or somebody like Wanda, or not Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange will wipe the floor with that guy very easily. But like Ghost Rider or something like that. Because if they bring back Robbie Reyes, the Hood is probably a more functional adversary because they're both within the supernatural. Riri Williams should be dealing with like a tech-based adversary. Or bring back Justin Hammer to deal with her. Because like this is a perfect opportunity to bring back Sam Rockwell and wearing like a functional suit of armor himself and tangling with Riri Williams, who's pretty much obviously looks up to Iron Man in the comics at the very least. They don't really, hopefully they'll address that in the show. The fact that she obviously was inspired by Iron Man, but certain people behind the scenes, I don't think they want their strong female lead to have some kind of male figure to look up to, because they got to do it on their own. Can't be relegated to need help from a male. So it's kind of like a groaner. I know, there might be a difference in opinion with you guys. That's perfectly fine, but it's just how I'm just picking up on it, because the reason I'm picking up on it, because that's what Marvel has been putting out. It's not always Disney, Marvel, but it's, other studios have been guilty of this too, but primarily it's coming from them.
Oh, nothing about this man.
You're gonna end up dead or in jail.
This is so much bigger than that.
This is wild.
A shady bunker.
My bunker's not shady.
Would a shady bunker have that on the wall?
It's literally above a crate of self-guided missiles.
I'm returning those.
I don't know. It's, like I said, hopefully, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Maybe Ryan Coogler can salvage this, because let's be honest, most people assume this was gonna be just shelved altogether, go the way that Batgirl went. But it'll be very telling if once this comes out in June, they'll put out all 6 episodes all at once and just want to be done with it. That'll be very telling if they do that. I don't know, maybe not, but this should just be done. They should just be done with this. They just want to just get it out the way. Anyway, I'm curious to know what you guys think. At least how I'm feeling right now in this moment, I'm not confident in this. I don't think anybody that I'm following, or from people that I personally know, that has a different opinion than what I'm feeling right now. Because by and large, the consensus is not very confident in this. Not saying people go far as hate, straight up hate this because they don't know, because nobody has seen it yet. But the consensus is hardly is anybody super confident. Unless you're a shill, nobody's realistically confident in this project. Hope to be wrong, and I'll freely admit if I'm wrong. I'll tell you all the episodes that I like, or it as a whole, either is very meh, or it's very excellent, I was pleasantly surprised, or it's just utter garbage. It's either one of the 3 things. I don't like the whole extreme this way or extreme that way. It's just sometimes things can just be okay and leave it at that. But anyway, I will see you guys in a little bit for another trailer they also dropped, which I think this Disney tried to piggyback off that high by putting this out at the exact same time, trying to steal the thunder. Let's be frank. because they could have just waited at least a day before putting this out. Anyway, I will see you guys in a little bit. Peace.